Hey guys, how's everybody? I hope your life is going smoothly. I am noticing that it's getting to the middle part of the semester, and let me turn my phone off because I thought I put it on silent, but apparently forgot that. Um, I hope you're doing well, and if you're a little bit behind right now, it's okay because I feel like everybody gets a little bit behind at this point in this semester, and there's plenty of time to catch up, so don't even stress. Just start from here and keep going. Do not give up. Um, okay, so today we're going to talk about writing, and you may notice that there's a long PowerPoint about writing and I do want you to go through the whole PowerPoint on writing. It's not from either of the textbooks, so your only way to review it is really to go over the PowerPoint that I've given you on writing. It's from another textbook called How to Become a Master Student. Gosh, I cannot remember the name. Dave Ellis is the author. So I pulled that from his book because I felt like he did a better job of breaking down the writing tasks. But because I'm a writer, I kind of feel like I have more to offer you, or I guess I could teach you a lot of different things about writing, but I think what I want to focus on is just the very beginning of that PowerPoint in terms of the assignment that we're doing, and that is an outlining assignment. And so I'm going to go over how to do the assignment really quick because I want you to know how to do that. If you're not a good writer, that's okay because writing is literally like, it's just like math or any other thing that has, I guess a structure to it. And so if you have the right structure in your writing, it will translate into getting better grades in your classes. Because even though English teachers don't always know how to break down writing into a formula, so it's easy for you, I'm going to break it down into a formula so it's easy for you, okay? So let's just jump on into this. So I actually am going to show you just what I'm looking for here on, I got my little, oh, again, this is just my little notepad that I keep this on my refrigerator, and my son and I just write like really positive messages to one another on the board. So I wrote that earlier to him because he was doing really well with school. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be setting up an outline. And the way your outline, the way I would like it to look for you is you're going to have, your Roman numerals here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? So when you create your outline, you are going to need to choose a topic that makes sense to you. The paper, and actually you don't have to write the paper is actually extra credit, but you can just do the outline and that's fine. But what I want you to do is learn how to outline what you're going to write first before you actually do the writing. Because most people will get an assignment, they'll just start writing. And to be honest, when they do that, they may kind of jump around from, they'll go on to whatever their brain goes on to first, and then they'll just kind of keep writing. And what ends up happening is their paper becomes kind of a mess. It becomes a paper where they jump from topic to topic and then back to another topic and then forward to a different topic and back to another topic, and it's just kind of all over the place. And if you're a teacher who's trying to grade this paper, you are not going to be able to grade it very well because it's going to be hard to find all the elements that you're looking for to give them points. And just like any other teacher, I used to teach psychology. I don't know if I've told you guys that. But I used to teach psychology at Victor Valley College, which is in Victorville. And I would have my students write a paper on, well, it was a drug and alcohol studies class. And so they would write a 5-page research paper on, a topic of their choice, a different drug, whatever drug they were interested in finding out more information about. And I would get back these terrible, terrible papers because none of my students knew how to actually create an outline first and then write their paper. So when they were writing, it was just a mess all over the place. And I noticed that many of them didn't even know to include thesis statements in their introduction and conclusions. So I had to help them. So what I started doing was breaking down the pieces into smaller increments so that way they could write that 5-page paper, but just in little pieces that I would help them work on. And so I'm giving you guys the first piece, okay? So the first piece is you need to figure out what topic you want. And the prompt is, what is the most important thing that you have learned in college? So I want you to think about that. Like, what is the most important thing that you have learned while you're in school? And if you can't think of anything, the best thing you can do is create a brainstorm. And I think brainstorming is the beginning of any good idea. So and with brainstorming, you just get out a piece of paper and you start writing as many items as you can think of. And you can actually have other people help you as well. So you could get your little brother in on it, or your sister, grandma, uncle, whoever, and have them create as many ideas as possible. And at the brainstorming phase, you don't want to be like, no, that doesn't sound good. It doesn't matter if it sounds good or not. It's like you're just throwing up all the ideas onto your paper, and then you can just pick up the chunks that you think might work for you, okay? So everywhere, and they're like, oh, there's a good chunk. That might work for my paper. Let's put that in there, okay? So if brainstorming doesn't quite work for you, you might want to try going around and talking to other people about the topic. Just, call a friend and say, hey, I'm writing this paper about the most important thing I've learned in college, but I'm not sure what that is. What do you think the most important thing that you learned in college was? So ask some college graduates what they think and get some ideas, write those down. And you might start to see some themes like, oh, lots of people are saying this. Maybe I should talk about this particular topic. If that doesn't work, another great way is to just do a free write to get ideas. And so what you would do is you take your piece of paper and write, the most important thing I've learned in college is, and then you want to set a timer for about 3 to 5 minutes. And you definitely want to hand write this, unless you're a fast typist. If you're a fast typist, you can type it. But if you're slow at typing, it's going to get in the way of the idea flow. So go ahead and hand write it. And just write like a paragraph. The most important thing that I've learned in college is that I'm not really sure what is most important. And I guess that means that I haven't really thought about what's important yet. And so therefore, I need to start thinking about what kind of important things happen in college. I know that I've learned a lot. I know that I've learned to study. I know that I've learned to write papers. I know that I've learned lessons about people and, things. But I'm not really sure what I've taken away from all that. Maybe what I've learned is that you should never give up, because if you give up, you'll never get to the finish line. But if you continue and persevere, then you will get there. Okay, so I just wrote that. Imaginary writing there. But when you go ahead and write something like that, as soon as you're done, go through and read it, and then underline or circle any ideas that you think might be actually useful to you. So at this point, you should have a lot of ideas if you've actually gone through and brainstormed, if you've gone through and asked other people and talked to other people about your project, and if you've done a free write, then you have done all of the ideas that, that I use to get going on writing. Some projects you may notice you have a lot of ideas right away, whereas others are a little harder for you. Do not be afraid to ask for help or to go to the writing center to get help. And if you want to do the extra credit paper, you will have to do a writing center visit as part of the extra credit to get your 50 points. So you'll write your rough draft of this essay. You'll take it to the virtual writing center. You'll get a half-hour tutoring session on your writing, and then you'll just show me proof that you did that tutoring session. They usually can shoot you an email or something like that to confirm that you did go to the appointment, and then you can just include that email or a picture of the email in your final work. You will be turning in your rough draft, your writing center slip, and your final draft. Otherwise, everyone else, the outline is an assignment. It is not extra credit. Everyone must do it to get the points. Otherwise, you will get a 0. Okay, so let's go into this outlining phase, because now we hopefully got an idea. So from all my ideas, I think I'm going to write about perseverance, because that was really the only good solid idea I had in that, free write that I did. Okay. And by the way, if you suck at writing, like you don't like writing stuff out, you can do your free write on a tape recorder. So you just, go onto your, your voice memos or something. I'm a Mac person. I have an iPhone. maybe it's called something else on your phone, but I have a voice memo section, so I could just press record and then start talking about the most important thing I learned in college and get my ideas down that way. So for some people, that works out better. Also, by the way, just FYI, I don't know if you know this, but most computers actually offer a speech to text option. So if you can't type or you hate writing, you can actually just say your paper and then it will, write that down. Of course, it doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to lie. I've used it. It makes mistakes, but you can actually just, go through and use a spell check like Grammarly, or even just the spell check that's in Pages or Google Docs to correct it. Please excuse me, oh my goodness. Sorry, my Facebook and all kinds of things are open because I'm actually doing a promotion right now, so I have to kind of keep it open just in case. So if that goes beep beep, I'm very sorry. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to create a thesis statement. And your thesis statement is going to be your first item here. And I'm going to move my little magnets here. So you'll write your thesis statement for your first Roman numeral. So my thesis statement is the most important thing I've learned in college is perseverance. And could I have a much more complicated thesis statement? Absolutely. But bare minimum is still fine. You're still going to get all your points if whether your thesis is complex or whether it's simple. So I'm going to say stick with the simple one. All right, we're going to skip over these ones for now. We're just going to go to the end here to number 5. This is going to be your conclusion. So this is the intro up here, and it's going to be a full sentence. And then this is going to be the conclusion, and it's going to be a full sentence as well. What it's going to be is a reworked version of your thesis statement. And so as a teacher, what I look for when I'm grading your papers is I look for the thesis statement to be present in your introduction and the thesis statement to be present in your conclusion. And if you want to get even more nitpicky, this usually goes in the last sentence of the first paragraph, whereas this one will go as the first sentence in the last paragraph. So it's kind of like last sentence in the first paragraph, first sentence in the last paragraph. Yeah. So in conclusion, I'm going to say perseverance is the most important thing I've learned in college. Okay, so, and again, it could be more complex if you want it to be, but if you are, struggling with writing or writing's not your thing, simple's good too. It works. So you see up here, I have the most important thing I've learned in college is perseverance. Down here, I just flipped the sentence around and turned, the predicate into, I can't even think of the parts of the sentence right now. Okay, so perseverance is the most important thing I've learned in college, or versus the most important thing I've learned in college is perseverance. So I just turned the subject of the predicate backwards for both this one and this one. So they're saying the exact same thing, but in not exactly the same way, and that's kind of what you want for your introduction and your conclusion. Now, just so you know, if you do write the paper, you are going to have to add at least 4 other sentences to this paragraph and 4 other sentences to this paragraph. So like this one, I could say the most important thing I've learned in college is perseverance. And then I would want to write my other sentences probably about the things I'm going to put here, which I haven't done yet. So I don't know what those are yet. And then here, I might want to touch back on some of those main points that I made in the paper. So basically, your introduction paragraph is like a preview of what's going to happen. So like if you watch YouTube, sometimes at the beginning, they'll be like, okay, so I'm going to be covering this and that today. We're going to be talking about so-and-so. Let's go ahead and get on into that. If you want to see that, just keep watching, right? So that's kind of what this paragraph is supposed to be, okay? It's just like that introduction in a YouTube video. You're saying, we're going to be talking about perseverance being the most important thing in college. And it's important for these reasons. If you want to keep, if you're interested in finding out more, then go ahead and keep reading. Okay? And then at the end, you want to summarize and be like, this is what you just read. Cool, right? Okay, so basically, you're giving a preview here, and here you're just doing like a synopsis, like a just overall summary of what happened in the paper. So let's talk about these ones. Now, for the sake of the outline, we're going to do, an A, B, and C for each of these. I really don't have tons of room here, but I'm just going to do my best, okay? So I need to figure out what 3 things I want to talk about. And I can actually tell you that if you want to make this easier on yourself, you can actually just choose 3 things that are the most important thing you've learned in college. So you could be up here, the most important things I've learned in college are perseverance, time management, and I don't know, what's another thing? And being responsible, we'll say, okay? So I could use those 3 things, and then I could write those things here as my second paragraph, third paragraph, and fourth paragraph. So I could put perseverance here, I could put time management here, and I forgot what I said for the third one here, okay? That's if you want to make it easy. Just make sure you include those same 3 things here in your conclusion as well if you want to do it that way, because for a lot of you, it may be easier just to choose 3 items and then those are already done for you. But what I'm doing is probably a little harder, so I'm taking just one concept here, perseverance, and I'm going to create 3 items about that particular thing. So for number 2, I'm going to put obstacles here. So because perseverance is actually implying that you're continuing on even in the face of adversity. So if you're experiencing adversity, that means that there's some obstacles that are happening for you right now, okay? And then 3 here, I'm going to put, for number 3, I'm going to put overcoming those obstacles, because learning how to overcome those obstacles is part of persevering. And then lastly, obstacles, overcoming obstacles, and then what can I put for my third item? I'm not sure yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out what obstacles I need to overcome, and maybe this one will come to me as I'm kind of thinking. So for obstacles, so what are some things that get in the way of people being able to go to college? Well, for me, there's a lot of things. So the first one was I got really sick, like I said. So I'm going to say, severe illness as my A here. And then also I had a lot of like life things happen. Like I got married, I got pregnant, I became a stepmom, and a lot of things like that happened. So I'm just gonna say family issues. And then I'm going to say burnout, because it took me a long time to get through school. And honestly, I got to a point where I was just like, maybe I just don't even care. Maybe I just want to leave. I'm just tired of this, it's a long haul. For a PhD, it's a really long haul. It's like, 10 years of school that, you're doing. And I think I did more like 15. So it was rough. Okay, so then overcoming obstacles. So one thing that when you're writing a paper for a particular class, it's really smart to go through the textbook for the class and figure out if there's anything in the textbook or that your teachers talked about in class that you can work into the paper, because that just makes you look really cool, like you actually pay attention, like you do the reading, and like you've got things handled. So I'm going to throw in some things from our course that might have helped me, even though maybe I didn't have those things at that time. So I'm going to say time management is my first one here. So having a good time management system, which by the way, I really didn't have a good time management system until I started becoming a teacher and teaching time management. And I was really very good at managing my time until I started realizing, wow, there's all these really amazing tools. And I actually went to a little retreat where they focused on time management. And it was actually from the author of our 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. It was his father who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He actually got together with another guy, I believe, I don't remember his first name, but his last name is Franklin. And they did this thing called Franklin Covey workshops. And so I went to one of those, and they basically taught you how to manage your time, how to be an effective leader, how to communicate well, a lot of those types of things. And there I learned the time management system that I am teaching to you guys, because honestly, it changed my life and it helped me to become more, I guess, aware of how I was using my time. And I don't know, since I learned that, I actually feel like I've gotten so much better at creating more free time for myself. So instead of spending time procrastinating on stuff and doing a bunch of stuff that I normally wouldn't do just to avoid doing that one thing that I'm trying to avoid, now I will just get all my stuff done, and then I will have some free time just to do whatever I like. And it turns out I have a lot of fun things that I like to do, so I end up spending my free time a lot more effectively, so I can actually have fun and enjoy my free time instead of watching stupid shows like Ice Road Truckers for 6 hours at a stretch and then not having really anything to show for that time. So time management. The next one, let's see, overcoming obstacles. So my severe illness and burnout, how did I overcome those things? Let's see, what can I use from our class that's super helpful? How about a growth mindset? Having a growth mindset, or I would say like a creator mentality, perhaps, helps me to overcome things, right? Okay, so then I just had this idea for number 4 here, which is I think I'm going to get to graduation. Yeah. Okay, so obstacles, overcoming obstacles, and reaching graduation. So growth mindset, time management, and probably different study skills that I learned along the way. So I'm going to put some study skills here, and I could mention them by name if I want, but I'm just going to put them, here. So graduation. So that was my motivator. So I'm going to say like goal setting, because that's something that, graduation was my goal, but I learned how to break down goals. I'm going to put that here too. And I don't know if you guys watched my PowerPoint on breaking down goals, but I actually created that when I was writing my first book and I was trying to figure out how to publish it because I didn't know how to publish. And I think this was whenever we did goal setting, so maybe 2 weeks ago now. You will find that PowerPoint if you're interested in checking it out. It's just called Breaking Down Goals, and it literally takes one of my goals and breaks them down into little pieces until I know what I'm supposed to do every day to get closer to this particular goal. And that's actually the same way that I got through my graduate program and got through my dissertation, was just by breaking down those big things into little tiny chunks. It made it a lot easier for me. So, okay, goal setting, breaking down goals, and then I would say like support from, my support system, so family and friends that kind of talk me down when I was like, I'm just going to give up. I hate this, and they're like, no, Amy, you work so hard. Don't give up now. I'm like, but I want to give up. And they said, no, you can't give up. Okay, so now I have my whole outline here. It didn't take that long, right? So if I were to write this paper, I would make sure that this sentence would be the last sentence in my first paragraph. So this is the last sentence. But I would have 4 other sentences leading up to it. And a lot of people start out their paper with what we call a hook, or something that's just interesting that kind of hooks you in. So I could say something like, have you ever felt like giving up? Or maybe even, have you ever felt like giving up on school? Are you tired? Are you broken? Are you lonely? Do you have obstacles that seem to be getting in the way of you getting to your dream of graduation? Well, I've learned some things along the way that have led me to graduation. The most important thing I've learned in college is perseverance. Okay, then I would launch into my paragraph for each of those. So the way you want to do these midi paragraphs here is you want to write at least one sentence on each point here. So you'd want to introduce obstacles. So I might say something like, there are a lot of obstacles that you're going to come across while you're in college that make you feel like giving up. For example, I had a severe illness that probably most people would have given up on school but I wasn't one of those people. I was ready. I also had some major family issues that prevented me from keeping my focus on school. And I was also extremely burned out because getting a graduate degree takes, a very long time. Okay, then after I've said those 4 sentences, I want to add in a transition sentence. So a lot of teachers look for transition sentences when they're trying to grade your paper. So I basically want to kind of wrap up this paragraph with that sentence and then kind of join it with this one and introduce this topic. So I was talking about burnout, and I might have said something like, even though I felt like giving up a lot, I learned how to overcome obstacles. Okay, the next paragraph. Overcoming obstacles in college isn't easy, but if you have the right mindset, you can do it. Okay? Like it? So the first thing I learned in college that was helpful was time management, and I implemented a system that ended up working out for me. I created a growth mindset, meaning I began to understand that with practice, I could learn things that were even difficult for me. And I also worked hard on improving my study skills so I could be more efficient with my time. Okay, so I just did that. Now I need a transition sentence that's going to join overcoming obstacles and graduation. Thankfully, I was able to overcome so many of the obstacles that were standing in my way and get to graduation. Okay, so now I'm on my next sentence. Graduation is the ultimate goal when you're trying to get through school. I used goal setting in order to get to where I wanted to go, but I noticed that a lot of my goals were extremely long term, which was difficult. So I started learning how to break down my goals into smaller, more manageable pieces so I would know what to do each month, each week, and even each day. I also had a very strong support system in my family and friends that were supportive and encouraging to get me to graduation. So then here so I did my paragraph here. Now I want to take this graduation paragraph and join it with my conclusion. And remember, this sentence goes at the beginning, so I just need to join support system with perseverance, okay? So getting to graduation was very meaningful to me, but it did take a lot of strength. Perseverance is the most important thing I've learned in college. Okay, then I have 4 additional conclusion sentences that I need to talk about. And it's nice to mention these things again in your conclusion. So overcoming obstacles that I've encountered during school, like my severe illness and family issues and burnout, was difficult. But luckily, I had time management, a growth mindset, and good study skills to get me through it. Now that I've graduated, I can tell you that perseverance is absolutely the most important thing that you can have. Don't ever give up. Okay, so now I need to figure out what I want to title my paper. If I haven't already titled it, you can always change your title, if you want. And this one is going to be called Never Give Up, because that's what perseverance is, or don't give up. What you don't want to do for a title is you do not want to use the prompt. So unless your teacher tells you to, okay? So try to come up with something a little creative, but that's also on topic, okay? So for this one, it's the most important thing I've learned in school as my as my topic. So I want my paper or my title to be something that isn't the most important thing that I've learned in school. Okay, so don't use the prompt as your title. I'm going to use Never Give Up, which is a good title, I think. I could also use something like, I could use perseverance in my title if I wanted to. Persevering to graduation, something like that. So play with it, work with it. But what I would like for your outline is I want you to, when you turn it in, I want to know what the title of your paper is going to be, what your topic or topics are going to be, and then I would like to see a full outline just like the one that I put here. This is what you need to show me. So this has to be a complete sentence for your intro. This has to be a complete sentence for your conclusion, and then you can do bullets for your middle section here for 2, 3, and 4. And that will be your outline, and you'll turn that in. Of course, there are directions in the assignment, but I thought it would be nicer of me to actually go through them with you via a video for those of you who are more visual, or what would it be? Tactile kinesthetic and visual verbal. You do better sometimes just watching. So anyway, that's it. And the rest of the writing stuff, I'll leave you to read the PowerPoint on that. Remember for the next quiz that the PowerPoint is something that you will need to study for not for quiz 3, but for quiz 4. Okay? All right, guys. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.